Well, happy Friday, everybody. Hope you had a good week. It was a busy week here. Don't normally do these little live chats on Fridays because most people are out and about doing stuff, but didn't get a chance to yesterday between busy weather coverage and of course we had NFL football, so our news schedule was a little bit different. Gave me a little bit of time to get some stuff done here at the office, but happy to sit with you guys for the next, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, however long we feel like talking weather, answer some of your questions about the forecast this weekend. What are you doing this weekend? Let me know. I'll take requests. I'll give you a personalized forecast for wherever you're going to be. We'll look ahead to next week. I like the forecast for next week, personally. I'm a fan of fall-like weather. Now, we're not talking, real sweater weather yet, for at least not in the valley for Northern California, but it will be getting cooler into the Sierra. We'll also be talking about a little bit of light rain potentially for the mountains. Doesn't look like we're going to see anything for the valley at this point. A couple of days ago it was looking that way, but there is time for that to change. Also got a little check-in on the tropics. Got a pretty strong hurricane in the Central Pacific, and maybe you've seen some headlines, some posts on social media. That storm is tracking towards Hawaii, but it's going to weaken a lot before it gets there, so some good news there. Fill you in on that. We'll check in on the progress of the fires, some of which broke out on Tuesday, south of Sacramento into Calaveras, Tuolumne, and Stanislaus County. We'll also look at fires in Fresno County. One of them has been burning for several weeks at this point, and it was primarily what was putting up the smoke that a lot of us saw earlier this week, although tonight it's looking a lot better. So for starters, I don't know if you saw the sunset earlier today. It was beautiful. We had the scattered clouds. The sky was a lot clearer. So we set up a time lapse here, and I just want to show you that just to start. It's a real treat. So this is from our Sutter Buttes camera. Just a really cool vantage point up there on top of the buttes. You can see for miles and miles and miles, especially on a day like this. So this is 10 o'clock this morning. You can see the haze. We're looking off to the east, so you can see the thunderstorms building over in Nevada. More of those fair weather clouds. Right now, now we're getting to the good stuff. Look at that. So sunset tonight for Sacramento, 7:29 p.m. We're losing 2.5 minutes of daylight every day. Two sides to that coin. I mean, it's getting darker earlier, and I'm starting to notice it. By the time we're done with our 7 o'clock newscast, the sun's down at this point. But shorter amounts of daylight means less heat. So if you're not a fan of the triple-digit temperatures, the days are numbered at this point. But wow, isn't that neat? You got some alto-cumulus clouds here in the middle, some cirrostratus clouds a little bit higher up above that. Not much smoke in this image, so if you're looking at it and wondering if the smoke is kind of making things red, no, we had the Delta breeze kick in, and that kind of cleared the air out really nicely. So smoke wasn't influencing the sunset tonight. It was just really, really pretty all its own. So I'm multitasking. I've got my own Facebook feed up. I've got the KCRA Facebook feed up here. I'm checking in on your comments when I get a chance to. Linda on the KCRA page. She's claiming first. Yeah, she's the first to comment on the KCRA page. Hi, Linda. Hope you had a good week. Let's see who's watching on my end. Bill's watching, Dave, Svetlana, Bet, and Bobby. If you guys have any questions about the forecast for the weekend or early next week, throw them in the comments. If you have questions about other stuff, let me know. But let's pull up first. See, oh, I know. Let's kind of recap the week for a little bit, because I don't know about you, but Labor Day seems like it was a long time ago at this point. It was Monday. It was 4 days ago. The temperatures really dropped a lot in that time. So this is the monthly climate summary. It's from the National Weather Service. These are the numbers for Executive Airport in Sacramento. So on Monday, Labor Day the 1st, was 103 degrees. Tuesday, down to 100. Wednesday, down to 94. Biggest drop in temperatures was yesterday. We dropped, what is that, 7 degrees to 87. And today's high was 85 degrees. So I called that kind of the sweet spot for our September weather. And that's where we're going to stay through this weekend too. So let's call up here. It's one of the temperature models that I like to look at least for the next 24 hours or so. Make sure we've got the most recent one. So today's high of 85 in Sacramento. We've got the Delta breeze. We're going to cool off really nicely. And this is about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, low temperature, upper 50s. Yeah, it's going to feel really nice. I had my windows open this morning, getting some of the fresh air in. Nice to enjoy that. Tomorrow afternoon, mid 80s for Sacramento, maybe some upper 80s in the north end of the valley. No 90s, nothing anywhere near 100 in Northern California. That's going to feel really good. And then Sunday, it's more of the same. Just really comfortable temperatures. Really nice for getting out. What you may notice is the breeze. That's going to pick up a little bit more. We're not talking about anything crazy. It's the usual Delta breeze kind of stuff. So we'll pick this up here. This is 6 o'clock Saturday evening. So yeah, a few wind gusts through the valley of maybe 15 to 20 miles per hour for a couple of hours anyway, until the Delta breeze backs off overnight. And then Sunday the wind's a little bit lighter for the valley, but picking up a little bit into the mountains here. Where you see this ribbon of purple, that's the Sierra Crest. So no people hanging out up there, but that's where the winds could be gusting, and probably up over 30 miles per hour for a little bit in the mountains. So I've been telling people this week, if you're going to be doing any boating on any of the alpine lakes this weekend, afternoons may just get a little bit choppy. If you boat up there frequently, you know what that's like. Water goes from flat to just having a little bounce to it in just a few hours. I think we'll see a little bit of that through this weekend. All right, Bill on my Facebook page is asking the magic question. Could we be done with 100-degree days this year? Could we? Sure. Are we? Well, that's anyone's guess at this point, but we can look at some of the numbers together and see what our odds are. So we hit 100 degrees officially in Sacramento on Tuesday. That was September 2nd, so that's our latest so far. I think the average latest for Sacramento at Executive Airport is something like September 6th or 8th, so we're right around that time where, at least based on a 30-year average, yeah, this could be the last 100-degree day. But I was looking back at some of the data. I remember 3 years ago we were in the middle of a 10-day stretch of 100-degree temperatures. That included a couple days at 110 plus. That was nasty. Last year we had a stretch of 100s in early October. So it can happen. We can get some late season 100s. We can get some late season heat waves. Why don't I pull up some of the numbers here? Our forecast models go out about 2 weeks, so that'll take us to mid to late September. Let me get you a little peek behind the curtain and show you what we look at here in-house. With the caveat, of course, that any forecast model we show you, it's a model. It's not the forecast, it's a guideline, if you will. No model is ever 100% correct, but it's a tool, and we have lots of different tools that we can use. Our job as forecasters is to figure out which tool is going to be most useful on a certain day, kind of like how your auto mechanic is going to figure out which tool is most useful to them whenever they're doing what they do. I don't know anything about cars, so that analogy, it's about as far as I can take that analogy. Okay, a lot of numbers here, but this is what, if you've ever heard of the American forecast model, we show a graphical version of this on television, but this is what the raw numbers look like. So your dates are, whoops, day of the week is in this column, the date. What we're looking at for high temperatures, we're going to look at the 0Z time temperature. That's about 4 o'clock Pacific time. So here we are on the 6th. That's tomorrow. So high temperatures somewhere in the upper 80s. Again, remembering that this is a guideline. The column I want to focus on is, yeah, you can see this now. This column right here, max temperature. So if we just do a quick scan through, and it's pretty easy to spot the 100s because they stand out, more numbers. Not seeing any here, and this goes all the way through the morning of September 21st, my wedding anniversary. Yep, no 100s in here, but there's a 95. Okay, that's close. There's a 99. This model does tend to run warm, meaning it's over predicting temperatures. So that 99, if this pattern holds, and keep in mind this is for September 13th, so well over a week out at this, or actually 8 days out at this point. This is probably going to change. But typically when I see a 98 or a 99 on this model, the number I actually write down for my forecast would be more like 93 for Executive Airport, or 94. So we'll see what happens there. Either way, it doesn't last for long. So that was a very long way of answering Bill's question. I don't see any 100s in the near future. Does that mean we're done for the year? We'll see. I hope we are, personally. I know we're not supposed to give opinions here on the news, but we all have our opinions about what weather we like and what weather we don't like. I love the temperatures in the 80s that we're going to have this weekend and early next week, so I'm really excited about that. All right, Larry kind of asking a similar question to Bill there. Do I see any heat spikes coming? Depends on what you call heat. 100 plus? Probably not. 90s? Yeah, I think we could see some 90s later next week and maybe into the weekend, but at this point it kind of looks like low 90s. Nothing crazy, and this time of the year the mornings still cool off really nicely. All right, checking in on the KCRA page. All right, we've got Gloria and Sherry following Linda's lead, claiming second and third on the page. It's nice to have you on the chat this evening. Let me know if you have any questions. Just giving this a quick refresh to see if there's anything I'm missing. Nope. Okay. So that was kind of a look at the extended forecast, at least for Sacramento. But let's take a look at the big picture for Northern California, because next week, pretty cool pattern change coming. Temperatures are going to be in the low 80s for the valley. 60s, I think, for the Sierra, which is certainly cooler than what we've been in a while. It's going to be nice to drop the temperature, get the humidity down a little bit, decrease some of the fire behavior for the fire in Fresno County, which reminds me, we'll take a peek at that in a second. But here we go. So this is the graphical version of the American model. All those numbers I was just showing you, this is what those numbers turn into when you put them into a graphic system and do a whole bunch of other kinds of mathematical and web design acrobatics that I don't know how to do. The computer does it for me. So this weekend, okay, nice onshore breeze, areas of low pressure going by off to our north. This is Monday midday. That could be some nice rain for the north coast, up into Trinity County, up into Humboldt County, perhaps. Probably not far south enough for Mendocino County. Could be a couple sprinkles. It'll certainly be chilly at the immediate coast. But that'll be nice to get some good rain, at least in parts of far northern California. As far as our chances a little closer to home, so this is Tuesday night into Wednesday. This low still kind of sitting here. These would be some of those little mountain showers that I have been mentioning in our shows the last couple of nights. That would be nice. For the first time in a while, that would be some light rain without lightning. So without the strings attached, without the risk there. That would be good. It doesn't look like heavy rain. It doesn't look like a lot of rain, maybe a couple tenths of an inch of rain at most. But yeah, that could stick around Tuesday into Wednesday. If you live in the mountains, or if you're going to be traveling up there early next week, oops, make sure you have some heavier layers. I mean, we're not talking cold yet, but we are talking afternoon highs in the 60s, and probably some morning temperatures close to freezing at the airport in Truckee. That's one of the cold spots, obviously. South Shore of Lake Tahoe could drop into the mid-30s a couple nights next week, too. So starting to get a fall feel. Remember, the foliage doesn't really get going there until, I think, what, mid to late October. So we're over a month out from anything like that. But it'll be nice to kind of get a little taste of the fall season there. All right, we'll do a quick check-in on the fires. For that, we'll go to Watch Duty. If you're not familiar with Watch Duty, it's a great free app. I have it on my work phone, my personal phone. It's just a nice one-stop shop for everything fire related and all of our updates here. So we'll start with this is what got renamed as the TCU September Lightning Complex fire. That's the 2.7, the 2.3, the 2.8, the 6.5, and the 6.2, where you see these kind of smaller flames surrounded by gray. That icon indicates that the fire is basically out. The fire crews are building containment there. The 6.5 fire, this is the fire that burned into Chinese camp Tuesday into Wednesday. And of course, hearts go out to that tight-knit community there, and anybody that has memories from that area. It was a historic town, and always sad to see the destruction there with this fire. But it was wind-driven when it started. It was started by lightning on Tuesday. This fire too has really slowed down. Containment now at 10%. It's at about 7,000 acres. It's only grown maybe a few hundred acres a day. Let's see if we can find some specifics. So that's the acreage for the total complex, all 6 or 7 fires that are looped in. Just scanning through. These are the very detailed updates that they share on here. So a day ago, the acreage was still listed at 7,036 acres, so no growth on the fire, which is good. And the day before that, it was basically 7,000 acres. So the takeaway there is that is the containment 100%? No. But with essentially no new growth on the fire in 2 or 3 days, the fire is basically out. There are still evacuation orders and warnings. That's mostly just because they want people to stay out, right? There's no water, there's no power, there's lots of debris. They want to make sure people stay out and stay safe. So good news there for that fire in Tuolumne County. Also just good news in general for anybody in Calaveras, Tuolumne County. I know you've been really smoky the last couple of days. Today got much better. We did have the increasing breeze, and just the fact that those fires really weren't putting up any smoke, that helped out a lot. So I think the air quality this weekend is going to be just fine in the lower foothills. It may get a little bit hazy in the mornings. That would be because of this fire, the Garnet Fire. This has been going for several weeks now in eastern Fresno County, and it's just burning in really lush timberland, so there's a ton of fuel for it to work with. You can see here it's burned over 33,000 acres since it began. And it began, 12 days ago. Began on August 24th. And this is also a lightning fire. So you can see here, crews they're working to build those containment lines. It's just tough work, especially when you're talking open wilderness. They got to hike in, they got to hike out, they got to camp there. Yeah, it's just tough work. So this fire is probably going to keep going for a while. You can see here the evacuation orders out for this area. So if we're talking smoke for the next, little bit, it's probably because of the Garnet Fire. But again, I think air quality is going to be just fine around most of Northern California. Places to watch out for, Tahoe in the basin, just because Lake Tahoe itself kind of sits in a bowl. It's got mountains all around it, so it creates 1,000 to 2,000 feet of land around the lake itself. So smoke particles get in there. Overnight the temperatures drop. Smoke particles sink down close to the lake surface, and they just kind of sit there. We've seen that kind of build up over the last couple of days, but I think as we go through the weekend, the increasing breeze should help things out quite a bit. All right, want to see if anybody else has any more questions. Not seeing any. Okay. Remember, you can check the forecast anytime at kcra.com/weather. That's the easiest way to find it. And on the KCRA app. I'll see you later tonight at 10 on My 58 and at 11 o'clock over on KCRA. Otherwise, you guys have a great weekend. It's going to be nice and comfortable. Hope you got some plans outside. Enjoy.